Hello everybody, how is it going? So today, more preliminary tournaments. This is round 2 of Miyagi, I believe. It is Enel versus Gecko. I think both of these decks are quite popular in this format. I think Gecko is kind of the most represented deck right now in this format, according to at least results. I know I think it was a YT Noah video on it. If you guys want to check him out, definitely go do that. But here's Enel's hand. It's 2 repels, or rejects, sorry. Sanji, Hiyori, and Katakuri. Yeah, and Enel got a lot of, honestly, there's just a lot of good yellow cards been coming out, and Enel can use all of them. So, yeah, like, reject being kind of a very, has a couple uses. I believe it's like kind of like a jet pistol. I believe it pops, it's either a 4 or 5 cost, or it just forces you and your opponent to take a life, and if that's their last life, you know, it kind of gets around, oh, they have a blocker and I only have 2 swings. Well, if you use that card, now you have 2 swings to potentially be able to go for a game and stuff like that. The trigger I don't think is too great. I think it's just a draw card, but this is Gecko's hand. Man, I can't remember her name. 8-drop Gecko, I believe it's kind of hard to see. Who is that? I think that's Absalom, Brand New, Rebecca, and Sindri. I remembered her name. Let's go. Sindri being a mill 5. Pretty good. Also a 2K. Yeah, it looks like Enel is going first. Isn't really going to have anything so far for turn 1 or 2. So, you know, not the best, but it's alright. I'm not sure if he is running the Sky Island stuff. I don't know if they've kind of gone away from that and are just running more of the Wano cards. We will have to see, though. I imagine still playing Geratsu. Maybe playing Ohm Holy. Ohm Holy is a lot of slots in the deck, so maybe not, but yeah. I know, just passing turn 1, Gecko picking up a Hina for his draw and playing down the Brand New. Let's see what he finds. Looks like we really barely got to see any of that. But milled a Hogback and is that another Brand New, and picked up a Hina. Okay. Normally Hinas are nice cycle targets for like Sakazuki, but obviously Gecko does not do that, but he can always just discard the Hina, so that's all good. Enel actually picking up his new stage card. Man. the name might come to me, we'll see. But I know it's like you tap your leader and you KO 3 costs or less. It's like a board wipe. Very interesting card. I'm not exactly sure how good it is. I imagine it's very good against like Law and Zoro. But I don't think either Law or Zoro are very prevalent in this format. But I guess, you know, it's a decent, it could pop Hina. As long as it pops at 3 costs, at least I'm getting that. I hope I'm getting that right. Could also pop a 2 cost or lower. Which I guess in theory could pop like the 2 cost blockers that Gecko sometimes plays. You know, Yamato is sometimes playing the Corazon, which is a 2 cost blocker. Same thing for Perona, so could potentially get value, you know. I wouldn't say the card is bad. Doesn't have a trigger though, sadly. If it had a trigger that just slapped itself out, that'd be pretty good. But Gecko going into his second turn on 4 Dawn, so he's going to play the Sindri first to mill 5. Just probably trying to fill up his graveyard with decent targets. And he is also playing Rosinante, so I guess, man, I swore I just had the name and it escaped me. But Enel's stage card. Could hit that as well, which is pretty good. And now I imagine Gecko is just going to want a leader effect because it makes the most sense. Attacking for 6, tapping 2. Is going to discard one of the Hinas, I think at least. He was hovering over it. Yeah, going to discard the Hina, mill 2 more. Mills another Hina and a Hogback. Let's see what he decides to play. Does go for the Hogback. We'll probably add back, I think he has an 8-drop Gecko, which is probably a pretty decent target to add back. Gonna shuffle back a Hina and another Sindri to pick up another 8-drop Gecko. So he has 1 in hand, it just added another one, so now has 2. And I do think that card is very solid in 2-0, because even if it gets 8-drop Katakuri, you still trade it up with the 8-drop Katakuri because you played a 4-drop and a 2-drop. That card is ridiculous, by the way. That card is so good. It's so good. Just looking over his opponent's graveyard. Looking like Enel potentially has a trigger here. Not exactly sure how it would involve the trash, but, you know, it's all good. I'm curious. I imagine maybe, would you still be playing Thunderbolt? Probably. I mean, that trigger's pretty good. But then again, like, Nami isn't Nami just kind of like a power crept Thunderbolt? So maybe not. It's a Sanji trigger regardless. So yeah, kind of irrelevant to what I was talking about. But I would imagine discarding the Sanji for the Sanji. Or maybe one of the rejects. I don't know, I feel like, at least when I'm playing now, I hate just hard playing Sanji. Yeah, so he does discard the Sanji. Makes sense. And Gecko's just going to pass it over. See what Enel top decks. Finds a Brûlée. Yeah, honestly, nothing super productive. We can just try to get very aggressive this turn, which I'm not against. Swinging 7 with the Sanji. I like that. Gecko will take. No trigger. Looks like he picked up his third 8-drop Gecko Moria. Pretty good. And I imagine, there's no way you're gonna play a Brûlée, right? That just feels bad. So I imagine it's just swing 8 with leader. Yep. And does Gecko have any 2Ks? I don't think he does. He might have been able to get out of that with 1Ks, but I don't think so. So he ends up taking both those hits there. Pretty good for Enel, but Gecko does have access to some of the better blockers in the game right now, in Rebecca and Borsellino. So taking some life there probably isn't the biggest problem for him. Next turn, not this turn, but next turn he'll be able to 8-drop Gecko Moria. I don't know exactly what his plan is for this turn. Definitely, if he has an efficient answer to Sanji, he could definitely take that. I don't know if he has any other way of reduction outside of like playing a Rebecca. Or he could just hard play the Hina and then leader effect. That could work too. I think he does have an Absalom. I think towards the left of his hand. So yeah, that could definitely be a play. Enel is he probably really wants a 7-drop for his next turn. Not having top end, at least I feel like in just like the Sakazuki matchup and now, you know, in this format, the Gecko Moria matchup, having just like your top end on curve feels really important, honestly, just because, yeah, you're forcing them to deal with it the immediate turn after, and if they can't, then, you know, you'll be able to play another top end, and it kind of gets a little bit out of control. But right now, does not have any 7-drop in hand. Just swinging 5 with the hogback at the Sanji, so I mean that works. Doesn't just skip out on popping it or anything like that, just swing into it and it goes. And I doubt Enel has really a problem with that. He just wants to, it got its value, honestly. It took a life, it ate a swing, that's cool. We want to take some more life to hopefully find some better cards to play with, as next turn we still don't really have a great play as the Enel player. But Gecko using leader to cheat out a hogback, adds back a Sindri. Looks like Enel will take that life. What are we hoping for here? Probably like an Okiku. Okiku would probably be like the best in this spot, because they'd only have 3 Dawn. They're probably not going to out it, and you get another attack next turn if you don't find a 7-drop. We'll see. Or it could just be a 7-drop. That could be pretty good. It's a Brûlée. Not the best, honestly, but you probably still cheat it out because it's free. I mean, whatever. Now, Moria left with 3 Dawn. Gonna tap those 3 Dawn and play down the Hina, and we'll pass. Just going as wide as possible against Enel. Very good. I imagine Moria is quite good at doing that because he has the Dofi-esque ability. Always has access to, you know, certain cards once he's milled them. So yeah, the leader is solid. I feel like both these leaders are pretty good in a longer game. And Enel does draw a Yamato for turn, which will be nice going into next turn. But this turn, still really nothing great to do, quite honestly. We might want to clear a hogback, but outside of that, are we going to play like a reject? I don't know. These turns feel very suboptimal for now. Hasn't seen like a 5-drop, hasn't seen Om Holy or like a 5-drop Momonosuke or something, because this turn would be pretty good to go like Hiyori in the Momonosuke, but doesn't currently have access to it. He could gamble and play the Hiyori and see if there's like a 5-drop Momo in life. That'd be hilarious if that happened, but right now there isn't looking like a great play. He could swing with the Brûlée. Nothing really sounds too great, honestly. I would gamble on the Hiyori and probably get nothing out of it, but at least you could stack another Brûlée in life, you know? Could be worse. Looks like he's going 3-Dawn on leader, attacking for 8. Probably at leader again. I mean, you could go for the Hogback, but I don't know if you want to... At this point in the game, do you want to do that? Commit, 3-Dawn to attacking a 5k body? Probably not. Yep, goes into life, and Moria will take that. Does have 4-Dawn remaining for the potential reject. I mean, it's alright, I guess. Clears one of the 5k bodies, and you still got, to get some pressure on life. Could also just, I think he has 2, so yeah, he'll have one for next turn if he's trying to do something like that. I don't know, that feels very risky, just immediately going for that. Probably not, probably won't end up doing that, but he'll be able to use this for removal, I guess, and then be able to save the other one for later. Yep, popping one of the Hogbacks and passing. So Moria should be on his 8-Dawn turn, so I imagine we're just going to see an 8-drop on curve because it's probably going to be your best play. Nothing on Enel's board is very threatening. It's just a Brûlée blocker, so why not develop more threats of your own? Still has, 2 5Ks on board, which could potentially already put Enel down to 0. Probably not going to go for it, but there is some amount of your opponent will discard cards if you attack with everything, which is important, I think, in this matchup. Trying to see his trash. I do see a Lucci and a Hogback, and I think a Rebecca too, so those are all decent targets for 8-drop Gecko. Also does have the Suru, I believe, so he could go 8-drop, bring back Suru and Lucci, and then Suru reduce the Brûlée, and then Lucci pop it, which could be decent. Not sure if that's the move, but it is a line. It's a line he could do. But just swinging 5 at Enel. Honestly, you probably just take this, right? Yeah. Picks up another 9 Yamato. Okay. Well, I mean, if we can survive, it'd be good. Probably take this. Honestly, I think you just take this one as well. Yeah, I mean, you have the blocker. I think you just get the cycle in, right? It's maybe a little bit greedy, but they're going to spend on to out their Brûlée, to out your Brûlée. And if they don't, and they just try to swing big at your life to put you to 0, you just use the Brûlée. Okay. Ends up using it there. I think you take that life, honestly. Feels like a bit greedy, but I think you kind of have to be. Maybe not, though. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But I don't think there's anything that really kills you. Putting you to 0 isn't the absolute worst, as long as they're not developing more threats. So if they use a bunch of Dawn to swing at you, or they, spend Dawn to pop the Brûlée and then swing bigger at you, I think in both scenarios you either get out of the hit if they pop the Brûlée, or if not, you just use the Brûlée, so it's not that bad. But this 8-drop Gecko coming down, reviving the Rebecca and a Corazon. Rebecca adding back a Hogback, and that should be the turn, unless he wants to swing 5 with leader, but he probably is not going to, because why would he? Just giving Enel free cycle. But let's see the top deck. It's Hiyori, pretty good. Has some more 2k counters. I don't think it super matters what he top deck. I think this turn is always just going to be Yamato, pop the Rosinante, heal 1, see what happens next turn. Do the Enel loop, hopefully, you can start trying to answer the board a bit. You could alternatively, 8-drop Katakuri, just say YOLO, just 8-drop Katakuri the Gecko. I don't hate it, but it's definitely the more risky play. You have, 2 2Ks and a 1K? You can maybe do it. You could maybe do it. Because Rebecca and Rosinante are very awkward swinging at you. So you probably wouldn't die if you 8-dropped his 8-drop, but Yamato is definitely the safer play. But is going 5, it's either the Hina or the Hogback. It's kind of the same thing at this point. They're both just 5k bodies on the board right now. And Gecko definitely considering counting out, and he does, discarding an Absalom. And it's looking just like Yamato. Pop the Rosinante, heal 1. Sounds good. Normal Enel activity. So this stage also has not gotten any use at all, has not been tapped once. So yeah, maybe it's a more matchup dependent kind of card. I would imagine, at least it would make sense. That's why it's like small wide removal against Gecko. It probably just isn't that great. But Gecko at 10 Dawn now. Could just play another 8 drop, honestly. Yeah, sounds good. Why not? Does he have an out to this Yamato? I don't think so. I don't think there is a way to get this down without like an Ice Age, and I don't see an Ice Age in hand. So that's good for Enel at least, getting that one body to stick. I see a 1 in this card text. Maybe it pops a whole bunch of 1 drops. That's possible. I'll look after this game and I'll put it at the end of the video. Is it Noah's Ark or something with the Ark? I think it is. It's I don't think it's Noah's Ark. I think that's like religious something. What is it? I'm gonna look it up now. Mid video. Hopefully I don't miss anything. I'm sorry, something happened. Looks like Gecko swinging 5 at Enel, and Enel getting an Okiku trigger. That's pretty good. Swinging 5 again with the Hogback. That will be met with a 1k counter. Oh, I'm sorry. Noah's Ark is actually a green card. It's Ark Maxim is Enel's field card. Okay, I wasn't too far off. Let's go. So Enel should be living this turn. There's just 2 more real swings in leader and 8-drop Gecko. So I would imagine that Gecko will probably just play another 8-drop. Just going wide with big bodies sounds pretty good. Also, this does open up the route, getting that Okiku trigger to go for the reject, which might not be bad. Does have a blocker. Honestly, another 8-drop Gecko will probably play another blocker, so it might not work out, but if he doesn't, I guess it does kind of open up that line. Just swinging another 5. Nope. Not swinging another 5. Just baiting me. All good. Paying 1 for the Great Eruption. Drawing a card. Reducing probably Okiku, because yeah, you're not gonna be able to pop the Yamato. So yeah, reducing the Okiku. So Absalom could pop that, which could be good. Looks like I'm still pretty sure he wants to play another 8-drop. So yeah, just gonna swing 5 at life. That is cycle, but if he swings at you with the 8-drop, that you're not countering out of that. You can't. I don't think he can counter out of that right now, but he does take it because, I mean, fair enough. Why not? You might just have to go for game next turn, so don't blame him. Don't blame him. Also, potentially getting another trigger here. If it's like another Okiku, that could be huge. So gets an Amaru trigger. Does use that. Curious what he's going to discard here. Looks like he wants to keep both of his top end, which I think is fair, just especially if his opponent plans on, like, he reduced the Okiku, so he's probably going to pop it. So, you might have a couple more turns in this game because you're Enel. Always the potential of triggers. He might get rid of all of his counter here, which is a little bit scary to do, but you probably at least want to save a 9-drop, right? Could get rid of the Katakuri, but nope. Gets rid of both his 2Ks. Is back to 2 life now. Moria will swing in for 9. And Enel will definitely just take that. Does not get another trigger, gets another 8-drop Katakuri. Okay. And it's got to be the 8-drop Gecko coming in. There's no way it's not. Unless it isn't. Looks like he was going to play Lucci. I mean, yeah, wouldn't it just be 8-drop? I think he has a Lucci and Great. We'd just do that. Yep. Tap in 8. Play in a Lucci. Getting rid of a Hina. And, do you have any decent 1 or 2 drop? Throzonote works. I don't know if you need to do that, though. Maybe. Just to be... I mean, not really, right? It's going to be tapped anyway. Yeah, it looks like he's just going to play out the Lucci from the 8-drop. Which, fair enough. Pops the Okiku. Enel will heal again. My goodness. He never dies until he does. I mean, there's 2 8-drops on the board now, so... Lethal is coming soon. A little bit scary. Enel now on Tendon. Do we go for the reject? Do we think we have to? I mean, your 8-drop... you could play Nami and then just 8-drop Nami into life and be at 3 life. That is a line. Oh, he got rid of the reject, so that's not even a line he can go for. Could also just 8-drop the one of his 8-drops, which I don't hate either. It's like a little bit scary to do, but you're at 2 life, right? Like you're pretty secure, I would say. Goes 7 at the Hogback, especially like if that gets outed, which it probably will, because you still have Yamato swinging. So, yep, Hogback will go. And yeah, if he 8-drops one of the 8-drops, there's only 3 swings. He has 3 lives. Yeah, he's fine. And I think he definitely should not swing with Yamato. And if I watched this a little bit, I'm pretty sure he doesn't, which I think is a very good play, because you have very few, cards in hand. You know you're pretty much going to live unless he's going to stack a whole bunch of Dawn on the 4-drop Rebecca to YOLO it, which I don't think he's going to do. So, yeah, good play on not swinging with Yamato, because you don't want to try to defend that. You have 1-1K. You definitely want to keep as much board as you can. And I do think Gecko still has another 8-drop. I'm pretty sure. So that might just be the play again. No, I don't think he has any real way to pop the 8-drop Katakuri or the 9 Yamato. Hina could bring 1 to 4, and yeah, that still really just doesn't do enough. Needs either a Great Eruption or an Ice Age to pop either of them. Swinging 6 at life with the Lucci, and that will take no trigger. Well, there was a trigger, but not choosing to activate the trigger. Fair enough. Gecko swinging 7. They kind of cut out of it right as he did that. Yeah, attacking for 7 at life. Enel will take that. No trigger again. It's another Yamato, I believe. Healing 1. I think it's so funny they tilt his life a little bit. They're very insistent on that. But just thinking on what he wants to discard. Probably one of the top ends. Probably wants to keep that Amaru, because that might be the ticket to game. Although, maybe not, because you did heal them. You're probably just going to have to stick it out, just hoping that top end does enough. That 9k swing also being eaten by Enel gets a Brûlée trigger. So, I guess the route of going really big on Rebecca has been stopped. So, that's pretty good for Enel. I still think Gecko is kind of ahead, or very much ahead in this game, especially after now playing another 8-drop, using its effect, bringing back a Hogback. I think he does have a brand new he could bring back there, which is just a free card at this point, right? It just depends if you'd want to sack anything off for that brand new. You probably wouldn't want to. Yeah, it's just going to shuffle back 2 and add back... I think that's Absalom. It's kind of hard to see. And then just passing it over to Enel. How many cards does Gecko have in hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards in hand. Is it just... You can't really just play another Yamato, right? I mean, like, maybe. Maybe you could. But you might just be forced into going for game. And into someone with 11 cards in hand is kind of sketch. Still could definitely go for it and just see what happens. I mean, Just, okay, no, he's swinging 8 at Lucci. I guess if you do manage to get rid of some of the board and play Yamato, you definitely might live. So I guess that's just the plan right now, which, fair enough, fair enough. It's probably just like swing 10 with Yamato at this Lucci, maybe just 5 at life, and then just, you know, hope that's enough. They do have 2 5Ks and 2 9Ks, including, you know, leaders 2 5Ks. So Enel still doesn't really have much counter. So just, I guess, gonna have to hope for the best on the triggers there. But after healing one with the Yamato, the 6K will be met with a 2K. So I guess it's just gonna be 9 from Yamato at the Lucci. I think you just have to go for the Lucci if you're even trying to live. So yeah, going 9. Probably should let that go. Maybe he doesn't. If he has 2Ks, he might not. That's why I think maybe just going 10 with Yamato on it. I guess it's kind of the same thing, because leader 6 will get you a 1K, and then 10 with Yamato would get you also just an extra 1K on that swing. So fair enough, fair enough. Unless, what, if Enel gets 2 veggies, let's think it out. That would stop 2 attacks. And then 2 attacks are stopped by his life. So it would just have to, you just have to counter out of one of them. That's purely just if he gets 2 veggies, which is not very likely. We'll see though. 7 coming in from the Lucci. That will be met with the 0 cost event. So, okay, pretty good. 1 step to success and living. He does still have the Brulee, but that Brulee is probably going to get popped now that Gecko has played the Suru. Swinging for 7, tapping 2. Is going to discard an Absalom, probably just to bring that Absalom right back. Playing it over the Suru, shuffling back the Ice Age and the Suru, and getting rid of that Brulee. Pretty good. And now we'll take that heal, gets a Big Mom off life, just discards the Big Mom. Alright, so now we need a Veggie trigger and to magically summon a whole bunch of counter in hand. Gets another Brulee. It's probably still not going to be enough. That definitely isn't. We only have 1K worth of counter. So yeah, swings 9, and that is the game. That was quite a long one. and Enel stuck in there for a long time. But Gecko does take that. Yeah, I think just the early game definitely hurt Enel. Not really having much of anything to play for the first. Even on his 7 Dawn turn, I think he just took that turn to swing like 7-8, which is definitely not something you really want to do against a removal heavy deck. You kind of want to, like 7 Mom would have been great on that turn, so would a Rush Enel. So I mean, the earlier game was definitely a bit rough, but yeah, that is the game, and thank you guys for watching.